What's going on, everybody? Noah here, back at you with the Rise Method. And in today's episode, I want to talk about the importance of presence. I want to talk about how presence is truly the first step and the last step, okay, to making the shift that you want to see in your life. It is the power of now, as Eckhart Tolle wrote in his book, The Power of Now. And to sum it up in the most simple way, you never live anywhere else other than the now. You don't live in the past, and you don't live in the future. It's just a continual experience of the now, of this present moment. And so, yes, while we want to plan for the future, let's say, while we have visions and goals, and we have an understanding, a conceptualization of a future, we can envision that. Okay, it's kind of been a superpower of humans from an evolutionary sense that we can plan and think ahead. It also comes at our detriment when we allow that ability to look back, to look forward, to bring about unnecessary worry, anxiety. Okay, because again, we never truly live in the past or the future. We only live in the now. And it's when you can learn to live from the now that you can let go of traumas that you've been holding on to. You've been holding on to these patterns, these limiting beliefs that no longer serve you because you're no longer defined by who you once were. Okay, you can just let that go, shut off the old man. And in continually learning to live from the now as the person you would like to be, when you get clear on the vision of, okay, who do I want to be? Who does that inversion of myself look like? Who are they being? And you bring the traits and the characteristics and the qualities associated with that end state into the now. That is the means by which it comes about, because you always become, right, that which you are. We say that here. You always become that which you are. And so often, and really all of our suffering, you could say, comes from worrying, okay, about the past or the future. All right, when you hear it coined like when we're excessively dwelling on the past, that lends itself to depression, and anxiety is a worrying of the future of what's to come. So we want to learn, right, to detract our energy away from the past and the future. If you think about, this timeline, let's say, of past, present, future, instead of siphoning our energy to the past or to the future, through presence, we're slowly learning to cultivate our energy back to the now. And it's so simple, and yet there's so much profundity in this. Because again, you only live in the now. When you are in the now, you can learn to be still and to shed off the thoughts, the beliefs, the narratives that no longer serve you. The untrue narratives, because that is not who you truly are, because who you truly are is who you desire to be. So living from the now is to live in stillness. Being as you truly are, being as I truly am. Because when we want to make change in our lives, when we want to improve our business, or when we want to improve our health, or when we want to improve our relationships, when we want to feel more peace and have an overall more peaceful, satisfying, joyful life, any of those changes we seek in any domains of our life begins and ends with our state of consciousness, right? This is the source from which all of our circumstances, all of our relationships, how we feel, the source of all of that comes from who we're being. It comes from your imagination. Your imagination creates reality, as Neville Goddard liked to say. So in this state of being, which is just a continual experience of the now, right? Because you're continually being, and you're continually becoming that which you are being. When you can be still and notice the untrue beliefs and allow them to shut off, to dissipate, and in fact help them or allow them to help guide you to the ideal way of being, to notice when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed, you're feeling that sadness creep up. Okay, you're feeling stuck creatively or confused. Those are all teachers teaching you to come back to the now, to breathe. Because all of that stems from past programming that you have been operating by for so long, and now you wish to change that. And the means by which you change that is becoming present to the now. You know, in a spiritual perspective, God, infinite intelligence, your higher self, it only lives in the now. Okay, it has no experience of past, present, or future. And I laid out that timeline, right, of past, present, future, and we tend to experience this just linear transition from past to future. We're just kind of in the present there as we go along. But from the perspective of your higher self, from the perspective of God, it exists outside of time. And so, while we think A causes B causes C causes D in our lives, that's how we experience these events. That's how we experience this causality of events. Your higher self, because it's outside of time, experiences all of those events happening in the now. So the importance of that is to remember that when you can be true to the ideal version of yourself right now, in this present moment, be true to those qualities, those traits, and those characteristics, and to meet the fear that you're feeling, to meet that with the understanding of how the ideal version of yourself is showing up in this moment, how it's meeting these circumstances, how it's going about acting in the world in this moment, knowing that it has XYZ, that it does XYZ, this ideal version of yourself. When you meet that with these past programs in the now, and breathe into them and accept them, that begins the alchemization process. That begins this alchemy, this mental alchemy we speak of. It all comes back to being present. And you know, there's many ways in which we can detract ourselves from being present. We can pull ourselves out of being present. Because there's so much distraction afforded to us in the world today. So much stimulus. TV, entertainment, social media. Okay, just constantly interacting in this world of form, in this external world, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not that we want to limit that. But when it becomes a problem when we're doing so unconsciously, right? Because if we're looking to make change and we're unconsciously going about our lives and just focusing on the external, that lends itself to being stuck in these patterns. Because the only way in which we truly make change is come back to ourselves, to bring our energy back to ourselves, and to notice those feelings crop up in certain events or certain situations, to recognize them, and then in noticing them, they guide you to the ideal way of being, to imagining who you truly are. How does the ideal version of yourself show up in those events and those situations? So ultimately, you want to carry this presence with you wherever you go. But the best way to start nurturing this muscle of mindfulness is to step outside in nature, to ground yourself literally in the earth. I'm barefoot right now. Get out into the sun. Just find space where you can be with yourself, where you can be in silence, And you can just simply experience your thoughts, your feelings. Because in that experiencing, you can learn to still them and to simply breathe and to simply be. And that's how you get to a place where you learn to do from the being. What I mean by that is taking aligned action or living from the end, moving about in the world, going about your day, all the while holding on to this mindfulness, this stillness quality you've cultivated within yourself. The part of yourself that knows who you truly are, that remembers that, and then goes about helping you to make that transformation in your life on a conscious and a subconscious level. This is the power of meditation, of mindfulness meditation, and the power of affirmation as well. Okay, having these affirmations to reinforce, to affirm to yourself when you're noticing the untrue beliefs cropping up. Because you can recognize them and then imagine a more ideal way of being. That's what those affirmations are for. What does this ideal version of yourself say? What do they believe in this moment? How do they act in this moment? Wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing in your life. If you're coming up against some health challenges, or you're coming up against some puzzles in your business, you're having some conflict in your relationships, how do they show up? What would Jesus do? Right? So what would the inner Christ of yourself, the Christ within you, that is the ideal within you, how would they show up? And so it could be getting out into nature, stepping back, making it a routine, 5, 10, 15 minutes each day, just sitting and breathing and just noticing the sounds around you, feeling your body, feeling your breath, being still to that. And even when you're going about interacting in your day, and you start to feel that overwhelm or that anxiety come up, breathe and be still. Take a minute to breathe. And in just that simple breath, returning your energy back to the now, off of dwelling on the past, what may have been in the past, taking your attention off of what might come in the future, returning back to the now and how you truly wish to show up, who you truly are. Because who you desire to be is who you truly are. So thank you so much for being here today. This is a shorter video discussing the power of now. Right now, you are the person you desire to be. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check the link in the description for the RISE method, the 4-step subconscious reprogramming guide that I've just released. I also have a free holistic lifestyle guide that I can add down there, because living more holistically and more attuned with our natural environment, being out in nature as we discussed, is so conducive to helping to heal ourselves. Okay, and not only healing, but helping us to thrive and to step more effortlessly into that ideal state of being and to manifest our true reality. So check out that free holistic lifestyle guide as well. And there's a coaching application as well if you want to work with me one-on-one. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Sending you much love. Until next time, let's rise.